Do we have a quorum for the e-board to take a vote on the minutes approval?
Are you asking me, Glenn?
Yeah, did he give you a list of who the e-board members are?
He did not.
Okay.
But since we haven't, let's say we do and do it.
Yeah. Can I get a motion to approve? Let's do them one at a time because that way if there's any corrections. Can I get a motion from one of the executive board members to approve the May 2022 meeting minutes?
This is Chris Laws. I'll move.
Thank you, Chris. Second. Anybody?
Am I allowed to second? I don't know if I'm on the board. If
No,
Dean's on the board.
No, you're a neutral. You're an ex officio sort of person.
Just trying to move it along.
Yeah. Gil, are you on the board?
Yes, I second.
Thank you. All right. We're not going to do an all in favor. We're going to do anybody opposed. All right, we're going to call that one passed. July 2022, same thing. Chris and Gil, you want to do it again?
I'll do it again.
All right.
Skill.
Perfect. Did you get that, Michael? Are you taking notes?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you get first and second? And
yes. Yeah.
No opposition. No opposition. So we're going to call that one passed. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Legislative regulatory update. I know that, and I hate these. I really do. I like the convenience of the virtual meetings, but I hate the fact that I can't see everybody and know who's in the room. I know we have some legislative updates. I guess if anybody has anything, I know there's some stuff on the EPA that I don't know. Let me first ask is there anybody on board from the EPA? All right, I'm going to assume that means no. The EPA's big push right now is going to be on this disproportionately impacted communities. They have a mandate that they are to do studies and start to try and resolve some of the issues that we have around chemical facilities, specifically on adverse impacted, disproportionately impacted communities, which basically means low income, non-English speaking as a primary language, or household communities that are essentially low rent, I guess, if you want to call it that way. There was a hearing that the state health department had last week, and they're going to be in the process of looking at some of the regulations that they have control over to try and look at some of this stuff. So I know that was a big push at the LEPC meeting, which we'll talk about a little bit. But that's really the biggest regulatory update that I know of on the federal level. And then I don't know what else we have on the state level, and I don't know anything on the county level. So if anybody wants to jump in, please do so. Just identify yourselves and talk about regulatory legislative updates. If you're talking, make sure you got your mic unmuted. Wow, quiet group today. All right, we're going to go down the line then. This could be a very short meeting. Adams County, is there anybody on there from Adams County other than Michael Bean? Katie, are you out there?
Glenn, I don't know if we have anyone on. I have something just quick to share, if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So Dan Frazen's on here. He may try and share the same thing, but I'm going to steal his thunder. Our county is working with Dan from the Colorado Preparedness Response Network. Our county is holding kind of an industry tabletop exercise. It's Wednesday, December 14th from 8:30 to 11:30 at the Government Center. And we're kind of involving all industry partners, whether that's energy industry representatives, emergency management partners, law enforcement, fire, EMS, public safety, just to kind of walk through a response to an emergency at an oil and gas site. So just an opportunity for responders to get together with emergency management and industry representatives to talk about that. So again, that is December 14th from 8:30 to 11:30 at the Government Center in Brighton. We will attach the flyer for this to the minutes when we send them out.
Okay, and that is independent of the BioWatch tabletop, correct? At the
Correct.
CDPHE?
Yep.
Okay. Am I supposed to be attending in some capacity?
You are invited and would be well received, but it's not necessarily an LEPC activity, if that makes sense. So you don't have to attend as a board member or the chair.
Okay, because I've also been invited to attend the BioWatch tabletop, and I don't know whether there's a hazmat component within the BioWatch or not, but I'll figure that out the next day.
Okay.
Okay. Local agencies, the LEPC. Again, that's one of those things that I'm the chair of the LEPC. One of the things I've been looking at, and I realize we don't have a big group today, but one of the things I've been looking at is trying to get the executive board members more involved, specifically within their specialties. So what I want to do, and Dean and I have talked about this quite a bit. I want to talk to Ron Sigmund about it some more. What I would like to do is try and get the executive board members to kind of do a mini report, since we're not having meetings all that often anymore, a mini report on what the fire service has been doing, what law enforcement community has been doing, because all of this stuff again is going to play into that disproportionately impacted communities planning. What the county's been doing, citizens groups. That's one of the big ones that I'd really like to have our citizen representative talk about, some of the citizens groups, because when I sat in on this meeting they had the other day, I hate to say it, but it was the same typical sort of thing where we had a bunch of citizens who were squawking. As far as Adams County was concerned, most of it had to do with Pueblo, but as far as Adams County was concerned, of course, it had to do with Suncor and the refinery. And there were a few outspoken people, but I don't think that they understood that the Clean Air Act is what's under review here, and that the Clean Air Act only deals with airborne contaminants and not other contaminants and stuff. So I think once again, what's going to happen is we're going to have citizens in citizens groups who feel like the EPA is punting because it's, quite frankly, it's not in their purview under this mandate. So when we talk about water pollution, we talk about ground pollution, we talk about some of these other things, it's not part of this mandate that they're in. What they're talking about is air pollution. This is where the fence line monitoring comes in. This is where some of these other things come in. So I would really like to have our citizens groups more in touch with some of the outspoken people within the groups. I know there's one down in Pueblo that came up that's called Moms First or Moms Out Front or something. And there was a whole bunch of people that were speaking from Mothers Out Front is the group. There were a whole bunch of people speaking in representation from that group. And unfortunately for me, I was just shaking my head going, you know, you're not going to get satisfaction here because it doesn't apply. So that's one of the things that I would like to do. And like I said, Dean and I are working on it. So if you're on the E-Board, which has been appointed by the county commissioners, you actually represent some specialty portion of the LEPC. And I really would like to get some more people involved at that level. So that's just kind of a heads up, let you know that it's coming. I don't think we have any other LEPC news other than the fact that there was an LEPC conference in September this month that Adams County actually had 8 representatives. We get 2 paid for through the state, but thankfully we have 6 other people who their agencies were willing to step up and pay for them to attend the LEPC conference. The LEPC conference covers a lot of different things. And I saw you out there, Stephanie, so I'm going to ask you to jump in here and just cover from your perspective what you saw as highlights to the LEPC, if you would do that for me.
Yeah. So, and my apologies, I was only able to stay for a couple of days. You know, I didn't attend the LEPC 101, but I did hear from a few of the newer folks. I guess I could turn on my camera for a second and prove that I'm not in bed. Yeah, so I did hear from some folks that attended that for the first time this year that piece was really helpful. Trying to think. In terms of my experience, again, just being there for a couple days, I think in terms of the variety of folks that were there, I think that was greatly enhanced this year. It seemed like we had a good mixture of folks from law enforcement, from fire, from the LEPCs, obviously around the state. But it seemed like the mixture this year was more than just emergency managers and a few hazmat managers. So for me, that was really the highlight. And again, I heard really good things about the opening session as well.
And I would certainly encourage anybody who's on the LEPC that if you want to be more involved, if you don't really know what the SCPC does, the CERC does, which are two different groups that are the state leadership guides for these things. If you don't know how the LEPC comes out of or fits into the EPCRA federal statutes, the LEPC conference is very beneficial, and it's one of those things that is paid for under the Hazardous Materials Emergency Planning Grant. We get to send 2 people every year, paid for by the state. Generally speaking, that kind of defaults to the chair and to the coordinator. So in this case, it would be me and Dean Birnbaum. Well, I pay for me to go through the authority, the hazmat authority, so that I can send somebody else. And I think it's very beneficial. As Stephanie said, we have a LEPC 101 and 102 every year, the first day, which Tim Gablehouse, who's an environmental attorney, covers thoroughly as to what the LEPCs do, what the LEPCs don't do, what their expectations of the people who are on the LEPC do. So it's very beneficial. So if you haven't been to an LEPC conference before, you're interested, it comes up in September every year. It's generally speaking in Breckenridge. This year they added a day. So this year it was half of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Or yeah, is that right, Stephanie? Half of Wednesday, half of Thursday, and all day Thursday, half day Friday, all day Wednesday.
Yeah, starts Tuesday and goes through Friday. So
okay.
It's another, I think, a half day longer than it used to be.
Yeah. Sorry, I was confused because I just got confused. Please let me know if you're interested in the LEPC. Going to the conference, because what we'll do is we'll work ahead of time to make sure that the state knows that because we are such a big LEPC and because we're such an active LEPC, I am always petitioning them for more paid slots. When you've got an LEPC of 6 or 7 or 8 people, makes sense, but when you got an LEPC with 25 or 30 people on it, then 2 is just not a good number as far as I'm concerned. Any questions from anybody on that? All right, do we have somebody out there from oil and gas? Come on, my thing.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Michael Bean definitely stole the thunder. We've got that tabletop exercise. 2 thumbs up. So anyone that can join us for that, that'd be great. The chair is always invited. As he mentioned, we'll roll out the red carpet. We'll provide breakfast burritos. We might even have a crown of some type for you to wear. So
I'm out. I'm out.
I was a part of the contingent that went to LEPC. I appreciate the sponsorship and the support. I thought it was a great conference as well. That was my first in 10 years in emergency management. Tim Gablehouse, his legal and nonprofit speeches, I thought were excellent. There was a lot on water. The railroad, as always, did a great job. And then I was particularly interested, because of my obvious attachment to oil and gas, about the PFAS and kind of the history. I guess we can thank the Air Force for Colorado becoming California when it comes to PFAS. So yeah, I just thought it was a great conference in general. As far as the Colorado Preparedness and Response Network, first responders, emergency management, working with industry and the oil and gas, energy folks. We've got some good leads for industrial firefighting classes next year. So we're really excited about that, to get the firefighters that work in the oil fields as far as responding to oil and gas site emergencies. We've got a couple different opportunities we're looking at. We're going to bring back wild well control. So when there are disasters in the oil field at oil and gas sites, we're going to bring them back in November for another incident management class. So I'll send that out through the LEPCs, and I'll put that on my web page as well. And then I'm researching intern and volunteer programs. So if anybody out there has a really good student intern program, we kind of like to expand with volunteers and student interns. We've got a bunch of asset lists that we're trying to update. We updated the fire foam list for the whole region. Now we want to look at hazardous materials response and spill response. So boom, absorbance, that kind of thing. And we want to look at railroad, industry, public safety, hazmat teams, everybody. So I just want to put together a real robust, comprehensive list. And that's about it from us. It's really busy still, a lot of full-scale exercise going on within industry, within the particular companies. And we just finished up, I think, 2 weeks straight of tabletops. So as we go into fall here, you should see signs as you pass oil and gas sites saying drill in progress or exercise in progress. And I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Drill in progress. That's like a doubling and doubling
Right.
tundra. Huh?
Right.
Hey, I was just going to clarify on the thing with the interns. Are you looking for people to be potential interns to work on those projects, or you already have interns and those are the projects you're hoping to have them work on?
We are looking to find the best intern program. So I need to talk to the schools and just look at some of the documentation that both companies, private companies, and the government have out there. And then once we establish what the best way to proceed is, then we will be looking for, we don't have anybody in pocket right now, but we'll be looking for student interns and volunteers to join us.
Good, thank you. And thank you for going up to the LEPC conference. I forget which hat you're wearing some days. And it's kind of like, oh yeah, that's right. He is oil and gas now.
Yeah, it just depends on the day.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for Dan from anybody? All right, moving down the list then, Tri-County Health or Adams County Health, as it's going to be. Any representatives here from a public health department? I'm not seeing anybody specifically. Does anybody have anything to add for the health department? Michael, do you know what the Adams County Health Department, they have their administrator now, right? And they are still scheduled to go live. Is it January?
Yeah, they have been hiring like crazy the last few months. I know they've got a large amount of their staff starting soon. Most of their executive staff, their directors and things are already on. But yeah, they plan to go live as of January 1st. So hopefully we can get a little bit more consistent representation once we have our own health department.
I know the plan is for them to hit the ground running. I think they're probably going to stumble and fall at least once, but I know the plan is to hit the ground running. I know they have a lot of really well experienced people, and I know, you know, some of those people, I don't know what percentage, but some of them are coming from Tri-County, so they're already aware of what's going on in Adams County. So that shouldn't really be an issue. I think it's one of those things that, again, the health department is an integral part of all of this stuff because the health departments through the local health departments and through the state health department are the ones who are doing the enforcement on the regulatory side of things. So we want to be able to help them out, and they're always helping us out. So it's, again, this is the trifecta of government, citizens, and now I forgot industry. There you go. Thank you very much. That this is where we come together in a peaceful and hopefully productive manner. So if you have questions regarding any of the regulations, any of the health department, things like that, then by all means, write them down and bring them to the meeting and we'll discuss them. All right, state of Colorado. Again, I'm not seeing anybody. I can't think of anything other than, like I said, this big push is going to be on this disproportionately impacted communities from the chemical facilities. EPA, I don't think we had anybody. And looking through the list, is Jeff on from Suncor? Is there anybody from Suncor Phillips or any of the other chemical? Go ahead.
Ron Summers is here.
Oh, okay.
Do I count? Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. do you want to talk about your side of this EPA mandate on the impacted communities?
Okay, I don't have a lot of information with that. That's our environmental folks. So I don't have that. But the only thing that I do have to offer is we've been building a relationship with South Adams County Fire. And here about 2 weeks ago, we took 2 of their firefighters with us to Texas A&M for fire school. And I tried my best to convert them into being Aggies. I don't know how that worked.
Poorly,
But,
probably.
They did learn how to say whoop and howdy, so that's a start.
All y'all, the difference
but-
between all y'all and y'all.
Yep, but the guys did very well. The class that they went to was kind of we're trying to get all of our guys certified as industrial emergency response specialists, and this was kind of a basic class for how to deal with industrial firefighting. And we've had them here on our fire training grounds for several different occasions. So we're building that relationship. And then coming up on the 28th and 29th, we have our annual EPA OPA 90 spill response drill. So we have I offered out to Thornton, but I haven't heard anything back from them. But South Adams County is going to be participating with us. Kind of Thursday, the 28th is a training day. What we're going to do is simulate a spill to the South Platte, and then we're going to go and practice throwing our booming and absorbents and our collecting equipment over there on 104th Street at the bridge, and which is usually our last line of defense for booming. We have several other locations, but that's where we like to go because it offers some of the most challenges. And then we're doing the actual drill. We'll participate. We'll be on the 29th, and we'll respond real time from our fire station and try to meet all the EPA objectives for spill response. But it's always been a great event, and we're happy to be building the relationship with our partners at South Adams County and the other fire departments around. And as Dan brought up earlier, he and I have been in discussions that perhaps maybe next year we can take a look at bringing back having local fire departments come and burn with us. We just purchased a brand new smokeless fire fuel that has been a game changer. You can't even tell that we're burning when we are burning. It's that good. It's a whole lot hotter than using the normal diesel gas mix, but really provides some great training for us, and hopefully we can get an opportunity to get some of the smaller departments that may have to be involved in the oil field.
And then on your actual drill on the 29th, is that also going to be in Thornton, or are you bringing that to an undisclosed location, or is it going up to Brighton?
I'm sorry, one more time.
The 29th drill, the actual drill, are you also doing that at Thornton in the same location, or is it an undisclosed location, or are you?
No, we're going to do it at the same location. What we
Okay.
do is we take Thursday as a training and refresher day, just to get guys out there to, get back in the habit of throwing the boom and rigging the lines and doing the collecting and making sure our equipment works. And then actually the next day is the actual drill.
I just didn't know if you changed the location on the drill.
No,
Because I know
not
we've
at
done
all.
them up here we've done them up here in Brighton also.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. The LEPC conference, we kind of already discussed it. Spill reporting. Michael, was Dean able to do anything as far as the spill reporting stuff for you, or are
Yeah.
we just passing on it? Okay.
He put it together, and I have the privilege of giving the spill report today.
Okay.
So I will try and do as good as Dean does, though I will likely not be as in depth as he is. So I'm going to try and share this spreadsheet here so individuals can see it. Okay, can y'all see this here?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to go through this real quick. I'm going to spend like 5 seconds on each one. I'm not a professional on any of this, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask Glenn. he will know more about the materials and things like that. And then we can always follow up after if you have more questions. So just starting from most recent to least recent, there was a small release of industrial wastewater at the Suncor facility on the 19th. Also on the 19th, there was a container that caught fire, released an unknown amount of acetone paint, other electronics. On the 15th, there was a spill of 80 gallons of diesel that came out of a tractor. On the 7th, there was a, after talking to Dean, I'm realizing that things like grease and mud are apparently reportable spills. So I find these interesting. 20 gallons of sewage and grease that backed up. Sounds fun there. We also had a spill of 540,000 gallons, so a large spill, but it was reclaimed water from the city of Westminster from a broken valve. A spill of 25 gallons of diesel at a gas station. Essentially, employees walked out and found a large spill of diesel. Didn't know where it came from or when it was there, but they got it cleaned up. 800 gallons of mud, just an overflow of a delivery, went down into a storm drain, but that was all cleared up. And Dean told me these are all, obviously, they have to be taken care of. So these were all cleaned up. So I don't need to specify that. An unknown amount of cooking oil was reported, though we don't have any more information about that. Just a complaint that a restaurant was dumping cooking oil. Spill of 80 gallons of diesel when a fuel hose broke at within Commerce City. Again, another diesel spill of a truck with a leaky fuel tank. More stormwater and sediment. Again, I find that very interesting. That's reportable. So just an overflow event because of a heavy rain event. 573 pounds of hydrogen sulfide leaked in, this was back in July at the Suncor facility. But they were able to stop it, obviously. 440 pounds of anhydrous ammonia resulting from a broken condenser valve within a Shamrock Foods in Aurora. From what I understand, this was their second incident, kind of with the exact same issue and almost the exact same amount. They had a spill earlier in the year of the also anhydrous. Lastly, 15 gallons of diesel just from a truck, a dump truck that overturned. No, just into a ditch, and a spill of soil from insufficient sediment and erosion control. So that was in Thornton. So
yeah, Mike, just so you know what happens with under EPCRA and under the Clean Water Act, they all overlap, and it gets really confusing. But any foreign material in a body of water or in a tributary to a body of water, basically, under the Clean Water Act has to be reported. So it doesn't have quantities, doesn't have materials. So basically anything that's considered foreign matter into the water is a reportable spill. And then of course, when you're spilling on ground and things like that, then there's some reportable quantities, and diesel fuel is one we struggle with all the time because I think the state's still using 25 or 30 gallons as a guidance there. Most of those are oddball things, and you know, they really don't have a huge impact. What we try and clean them up for is both public image and because most everything in Colorado drains into someplace that's going to end up in the water, and we're going to be back there. And on the water, all it takes is, for the petroleum products, all it takes is a sheen. You don't even have to have really measurable quantities. If there's a sheen on the water, it's a reportable spill. So yeah, that's like I said, those are the things we struggle with all the time. I think we have some good reporting. I don't think there were any that I know of that were not reported, so that's a good thing for us. Yeah, no, that's fine. You did great on that as far as that reporting is concerned.
thanks, Glenn.
Any community reports? trying to think whether we have any old business. I don't think we did. I think the minutes passing on the old business was the only thing there. New business, the Ammonia Safety Day. Dean and I were working with the Ammonia Safety Training Institute to try and bring in an Ammonia Safety Day, which has been here about 3 or 4 years ago out in Aurora. It's one of those trainings that can be kind of a la carte. You can go from a 1-day to a 3-day training if you want to have full-on, hands-on chemical release, fire department come out and control an ammonia spill, and it just changes the price. It's like being in a restaurant, you know, the a la carte, the more you add, the more expensive it gets. We are going to try and put in for an HMEP grant, I think, to sponsor that. The Ammonia Safety Institute brought up an interesting thing, which was they work with a lot of agencies that have made this into a moneymaker for the LEPC. Not a huge moneymaker, but what they'll do is they'll bring in kind of an annual conference sort of way of doing this, where the Ammonia Safety Training Institute will come in and actually have industry buy tables and things like that. I don't see us going to that extent unless somebody else wants to spearhead that thing. I just don't see us going to that extent. But I think just like the petroleum training that they're talking about, excuse me, I think ammonia training in Adams County for firefighters is one of those that we really should be focused on a little bit more. We were trying to get it done for this year, and it was just too much, too late. And the primary reason for that was the fire departments have their training schedules. They are working right now, literally right now. They will have them done next month for 2023. And then once they come up with their schedule, there's really not much wiggle room there as far as adding things into it. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the fire training consortiums, the training chiefs and stuff, to find a couple of days there that we can maybe host this ammonia training institute training, and that's kind of what that was about. So we looked at it for 2022, let it go. We're looking at it for 2023, and you may hear some more about that because we may actually put together a work group if that's going to come to fruition. Recruiting LEC board members. As you guys know, Adams County is a little bit different than some of the other counties. Hi. We just have a new LEPC executive board member.
Sorry, I'm trying to get her trained, so.
Oh, that's good. The LEPC executive board members are actually appointed by the county commissioners, and in order to be appointed to the LEPC board, there are certain specific seats, if you want to call it that. There's a seat from Adams County Health Department. There's a seat that I fill from Adams Jeffco Hazmat. Chris Laws is in the sheriff's office, the law enforcement seat. We have a seat that represents business and industry. We have a seat or a couple of seats that represent citizens groups. But we do try and there's a EMS, not an EMS, a hospital representative. We do try and have some people that are interested fill in those seats. I have to apologize because I want to say that we have a couple of empty chairs right now, and I want to say the hospital's representative is one of them. So if you are interested in doing that, I would ask you to contact Dean Berenbaum, or go to the county website where it says, I think you just find it in special committees or appointments or something to that effect, and it tells you how to apply for that. And again, it's a two-year stint. You have to apply to the county commissioners to be appointed by the BCC per the resolution that formed the LEPC here. But I would encourage people to get involved in that, because it's really the board members who are recognized as the LEPC members, who are the voting members and who are expected to do the bulk of the work. But there's not a whole lot of work to it. He's got a hazardous materials traffic flow report. I don't know whether he's talking about a commodities flow, which is what I'm assuming, and that was from the railroad. We, to the best of my knowledge, don't have a commodities flow study on the highways. The people who are involved kind of have a pretty good feel for what's going through Adams County, which is a little bit of everything often. Nothing like a shortage of trucks in Adams County. Huh. I'm assuming that's what he's talking about as a commodity flow study, but I don't recognize right off the top of my head what he's talking about there. Any additional announcements? Anybody from the group have anything that they want to discuss, bring up, or that will benefit the LEPC as a whole?
Glenn, I'll say
Yep.
something real quick if that's okay. So someone brought up in the chat why we're not still meeting in person. Do you have any feedback on that?
We talked about it. I think we're ready. I think it was one of those things that it was kind of the consensus that we would like to do a hybrid meeting. And I don't know how well that works yet. I've talked to some people who are doing hybrids, but it's really for the hybrid meeting. Then it becomes the location and the electronics and the audio visual capabilities of the location in order to have this screen up on a big screen. I would prefer to be meeting back in person again. I know, like I said, there's a lot of people who prefer the virtual because it's easy peasy. I mean, it's one of those things you sign in, you're in the meeting for 35, 45 minutes, you're done, you go back to work or go back to doing what you were doing before. It saves drive time, it saves all the aggravation of that. But I think there's some quality of the meeting that is lost as a result of that. So again, I think it's one of those that we probably need to discuss it as a board. I am certainly not opposed to meeting in person again. I kind of prefer those. And I would encourage anybody who has an opinion on it to let either me or let Dean know that maybe it's time to get back together again and do them in person, or whether you have a preference for a hybrid or whether you have a preference for the virtual. So did that answer the question, Michael?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I had a thought on it. I just wanted to get your thoughts first. I know we've had conversations with Dean and Ron, and one of the sentiments was that in-person meetings, we don't want to do in-person meetings if it's just kind of a show up, report out, and leave. And so one of the things that they're working on is ensuring that when we go back to in-person meetings, there's value in having an in-person meeting. And so whether that's having a good presentation or doing it at a facility so we can get to know a facility or some people, maybe do a facility tour, or different things like that. We don't want to have an in-person meeting just to say we're doing them in person if there's no value added to doing it in person. So I encourage everyone, if you have ideas for ways to make the meetings more valuable, again, as I said, whether that's a presentation or a facility tour or running a tabletop exercise within the LEPC meeting or something small like that, just to make it so it's more beneficial in person, please toss them to Glenn or to Dean. That's the best way to make them more beneficial in person and to help us get that going again. That's my feedback just from the non-LEPC coordinator point of view.
Yeah, I really like the in-person meetings, and I like when we were having the programs. I think the programs are very beneficial. I think the on-site tours are very, very beneficial. I think it just helps people understand what's in the county and what's going on. I think it helps us see the big picture when it comes to advising the Board of County Commissioners. You know, when we're talking about doing planning, when we're talking about doing zoning, we're talking about doing some of these other things. I think the LEPC has a bigger role in there than the commissioners anticipate that we can do, but I think we can give some guidance. I think there's stuff that can be done and can be said that will actually benefit Adams County 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years from now, that we should be looking at. Again, the programs I thought were very beneficial. I know we used to do them over lunch hour and provide lunch. The LEPC has no budget as such, so we were having individual agencies or individual industry sponsors for buying the lunches, whether that was pizza or sandwiches or whatever. So yeah, I think we're open to any of that, and if the lunch meetings worked and everybody liked them, then we can continue to do that, and we'll just figure out how to pay for it. If it's one of those things that the lunch meetings were inconvenient and you would prefer to do it some other time, you know, any ideas are welcome. We do have a fairly large LEPC as far as the state is concerned. and we have a very active LEPC as far as the state is concerned. I realize that most of the people on this group are going, we're active. Yeah, well, yeah, compared to most LEPCs, we are pretty active. So I would encourage you to contact me or contact Ron and let us know which direction this needs to go. So any questions on that from anybody? Comments? Nope, hearing none. That was a very, very short meeting then. If nobody else has anything. Next meeting is November 28th, 2022. And I will talk to Dean when he comes back in, and we will see whether or not anybody, specifically Ron or somebody else, has checked in and have some recommendations for an in-person meeting. As it stands right now, I would count on it being virtual, but I think virtual, hybrid, in-person, I'm open to any of them. Any last comments? Questions? I thank you all for being here. I thank you all for sitting in. Michael, I do see on the list there one meeting guest. There's a, I don't know who that is.
It lists everybody as a guest.
Okay, do you have your people list open?
I do.
Right above you. Well, you're probably at the top on your list though.
Uh-huh.
If it's no, it's not alphabetical. Right under Maury, there's a meeting guest.
I don't have any guests, so
Okay.
maybe just a guest on your end. I took a screenshot of everyone in, so.
Okay. All right. Once again, then, thank you. Have a safe weekend. We'll see you next month. 2 months. 2 months in November. Thanks, folks.
Guys.
Thanks,
All right.
Glenn. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, guys. Have a good week.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.